I never thought agreeing to help out a coworker would completely change the course of my life. It started with something simple. "Hey man, you've got a truck, right?" Kyle asked, leaning over my cubicle wall. "Think you could help me move some furniture this weekend?" Kyle was one of those guys who somehow made the whole office a little more bearable. He was friendly, always cracking jokes during meetings, offering to grab coffee runs, and just easy to be around. Tall, broad-shouldered, with that scruffy look that felt both effortless and stupidly attractive. Total straight guy energy, at least as far as I ever assumed. We weren't exactly close friends, but we got along, enough that when he asked for help, I didn't hesitate. "Yeah, sure, what time?" "Saturday morning cool? Just some stuff from my storage unit to my new apartment. Shouldn't take more than a couple hours. Easy." Saturday came, and I pulled up to the address he texted me, an older storage facility on the edge of town. When I hopped out of my truck, Kyle was already there, leaning against his car, wearing basketball shorts, a faded hoodie, and a backwards cap, sunglasses pushed up on his head. He grinned when he saw me. "Man, you're a lifesaver." "No worries," I said, tossing him a smile. "So where's the mountain of furniture I just signed up for?" "Don't worry. It's not that bad." He wasn't totally lying, but he wasn't being fully honest either. There were boxes. Lots of boxes. Plus a couch, a mattress, a bed frame, and about 4 different IKEA disasters waiting to happen. As we worked, Kyle was different, not in a bad way. Just more relaxed, more playful. Every time we bumped into each other maneuvering a box, he'd flash that grin, nudging me with his elbow. "Careful, man. Gonna start thinking you like being this close to me." I laughed it off the first couple times. Yeah, keep lifting." But the weird thing was, it didn't feel like a joke. When we got to his apartment, top floor, of course, no elevator, I realized how sweaty we both were. His hoodie was gone by then, and the way his t-shirt clung to his back. "Yeah." I tried not to look. "Man," he huffed, flopping onto the carpet. "This sucks. I owe you. Like, a month's worth of beer." I dropped onto the floor next to him, wiping sweat from my face. "Yeah, you do." Kyle leaned back on his hands, glancing at me. "Actually, I was gonna order pizza. You sticking around?" I hesitated. "I mean, sure, yeah. Cool," he said, pulling out his phone. "Oh, and if you want a shower or something, the bathroom's right there. I haven't unpacked half my stuff, but the water's on." It sounded innocent. It probably was innocent. But the way he looked at me when he said it, it lingered. Like something unspoken was hanging between us. "I'm good," I said, voice casual, but my skin was buzzing. I didn't even know why. Pizza arrived. We ate it on the floor, both too exhausted to care about plates. Kyle popped open a couple beers, handing me one. The conversation drifted. Work gossip, bad dates, dumb stories from college. It was easy. Comfortable. Then something shifted. Kyle leaned back, stretching, his shirt lifting just enough to show a line of skin. He caught me glancing, just for a second, and instead of laughing it off like usual, he didn't. Instead, he looked at me, really looked at me. His voice was quieter now, unsure. "Thought about guys?" I nearly choked on my beer. Not," he rushed, running a hand through his hair. "I mean, not like, I'm not saying I do, just, I don't know. Been thinking about stuff lately." My heart was pounding. "Kyle, where's this coming from?" He shrugged, biting the edge of his thumb, suddenly looking way less confident than usual. "I guess you're the only person I could maybe ask, 'cause you You're gay, I filled in for him. He nodded. Yeah. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was heavy, charged. And then he shifted closer, just barely. Is it weird? Kyle asked softly. If I told you I've kind of wondered what it's like? I opened my mouth to answer, but whatever I was about to say vanished when he leaned in, just enough that I could feel his breath. I don't know what I'm doing, he admitted, but if you wanted to, I wouldn't stop you. My pulse was hammering in my ears. Kyle, are you serious? He nodded, lips parted like he was about to say something else, but never got the words out. Because in that moment, all the uncertainty, all the teasing, all the tension finally snapped. And nothing about that day was the same ever again. For a second, I froze. Not because I didn't want it, but because this was Kyle, my coworker, my straight, at least previously straight, coworker who had never, not once, hinted that this was even remotely on the table. But he wasn't pulling away. If anything, he leaned in just a hair closer, like he was waiting for me to decide. You sure? I asked, my voice coming out lower than I meant. He gave this nervous half laugh, rubbing the back of his neck. No, I mean, yeah. I don't know, His eyes flicked down to my lips, and then right back up. Kinda tired of wondering. I swear, my heart could have jumped out of my chest. Without thinking too hard about it, because overthinking would have killed me, I leaned in. My hand brushed against his knee first, testing the waters. When he didn't flinch, didn't move, I closed the distance. The second our lips met, Kyle let out this tiny surprise noise in the back of his throat. Like he didn't quite expect it to actually happen, but wasn't about to stop it either. His mouth was hesitant, unsure, but warm, soft, real. I pulled back just enough to see his face. His eyes were wide, but not scared, more like stunned. Holy shit, he whispered. His fingers gripped the front of my shirt, knuckles white. I didn't think you'd actually, I smirked. Dude, you leaned in first. He blinked, then broke into a grin. This slightly dazed, incredulous smile. Yeah, guess I did. There was a pause, heavy, thick with everything unsaid. Then, before I could even process it, he was the one closing the gap this time. It wasn't perfect. His nose bumped mine at first. He kissed like someone figuring it out for the first time, like muscle memory didn't exist yet, but there was something raw about it, real, honest. When we finally broke apart, both breathless, Kyle let out this shaky laugh and leaned his forehead against mine. Dude, he muttered, what the hell are we doing? I chuckled, resting a hand on his knee. I honestly have no clue. He leaned back slightly, running both hands over his face. Okay, this is kinda crazy. You wanna stop? He looked at me like I'd asked the dumbest question in the world. No. That made me grin. Yeah. Kyle sighed, scrubbing a hand through his messy hair. Man, I've seriously been thinking about this for I don't even know how long. Just didn't think you'd... Dude, I cut in gently. I've wanted to for a long time. You've just never given me any reason to think it was even remotely possible. He looked down, lips pressed into a tight line. Yeah, guess I'm a little late figuring some stuff out. Silence stretched again. Not uncomfortable, but heavy. He toyed with the label on his beer bottle, fingers fidgeting, like he didn't know where to put his hands anymore. So, he finally muttered, glancing sideways at me. How does this usually, work? I raised an eyebrow. How does what work? You know, like this. He gestured vaguely between us, then groaned. God, I sound like an idiot. I laughed. No, man, you don't. He shot me a look that was half defensive, half embarrassed. Seriously, though, what now? Do we, I don't know, talk about it? Or... I leaned back against the wall, considering him. I mean, if you're freaking out, we can hit pause. Or... I glanced down at where my hand was still resting on his knee. We can figure it out. Kyle swallowed. Hard. His gaze flicked down, then up. His knee shifted under my hand, but instead of pulling away, he nudged his leg just a little closer. I think, he said slowly, I'd rather figure it out. There was a beat. My pulse hammered. His breathing was shallow, and then he shifted, closing the space between us again. His fingers found my wrist, tentative at first, then firmer, like he was grounding himself. I don't want to screw this up, he mumbled, voice rough. But I really don't want to stop. Yeah, I whispered. Me either. And before I could second guess anything else, it was happening again. Only this time, neither of us held back. This time, the kiss wasn't hesitant. Kyle pressed in like he'd made up his mind, like the switch had flipped from curious to, I want this. And damn, whatever awkwardness there'd been before was gone. I pulled back just a little, letting my thumb brush his jaw. Still good? His eyes were dark, pupils blown wide. Yeah, better than good. That answer hit me way harder than I expected. Before I could even process it, Kyle surged forward again, his lips finding mine like he was starving for it. His hands fumbled at first, one tugging the hem of my shirt, like he wasn't even sure what he was doing but needed to do something. A sound I absolutely was not prepared for. Shit, he muttered against my mouth, pulling back just far enough to breathe. His chest was rising and falling fast. This is kinda insane. Yeah, I agreed, my own voice shaky. In the best way. He laughed, this breathless, nervous sound, and rested his forehead against mine. You have no idea how long he trailed off, shaking his head. Hell, I didn't even realize it until recently. Just something about you, man. Yeah? My voice was barely a whisper. Kyle nodded, his thumb brushing absently over my wrist, where he was still holding me. I started noticing stuff. Like, the way I always look for you at work. Or how, when you laugh, I don't know, it does something to me. He winced, squeezing his eyes shut. God, that sounds so dumb. It doesn't, I said quietly. It really doesn't. He opened his eyes, softer now, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen from him before. I think maybe I should have figured this out a long time ago. I smiled, brushing my thumb over the corner of his mouth. Well, better late than never. Kyle's gaze flicked between my eyes and my lips again, and then he huffed a laugh. You know what's really weird? What? How? Not weird this feels. Yeah, I admitted, my heart thudding. Same. There was a beat. Just us, sitting on his bare apartment floor, pizza boxes forgotten, empty beer bottles pushed aside. The sunlight filtering in through the window caught in his hair, making it look almost gold. His face was still flushed, his lips slightly swollen from kissing. And he looked happy. Scared, yeah. But also happy. So, he started, running his hand through his hair. What now? Well, I leaned back on my hands, grinning. We could take it slow, figure this out, see where it goes. Yeah, he nodded, chewing on his lip. Yeah, I like that. Then he tilted his head, squinting at me. But also, if I wanted to kiss you again right now, That'd still be cool, right? I laughed. Dude, always. And just like that, his hands were on me again, pulling me in like we'd already crossed the line, and there was no going back now. Only this time, it wasn't rushed. It wasn't about figuring it out. It was just us. For the first time, it actually felt like the most natural thing in the world. The rest of the afternoon blurred in that perfect, hazy way when time doesn't feel real anymore. Just two guys sitting cross-legged on a cheap apartment carpet, tangled somewhere between being friends and being, well, whatever this was becoming. At some point, Kyle flopped back onto the floor, staring up at the ceiling. Dude, I don't even know how I'm supposed to act around you now. I stretched out next to him, close enough that our shoulders touched. Honestly, same. But maybe we don't have to figure it out right this second. Yeah, he turned his head slightly toward me. I guess. The silence wasn't awkward. It was comfortable. Charged, sure, but nice. His knee bumped against mine, neither of us moving away. He sighed, draping his arm over his eyes. You know what's crazy? What? How? Not crazy this feels. I smiled, letting my head fall back onto the floor too. Yeah, it's weird, but like, the good kind. He peeked at me from under his arm, smirking. You're way better at this whole talking about feelings thing than I am. Occupational hazard of being gay, I teased. That made him laugh. Full, loud, real. The kind that rumbles in your chest. God, you're gonna roast me forever now, aren't you? Only a little. Another pause. Then Kyle sat up suddenly, running a hand through his hair. All right, real talk. Does this change everything? Like, work? Us? I sat up too, brushing dust off my jeans. You mean, are we gonna be weird at the office? Yeah, or like, do we pretend this didn't happen? Or, I don't know. He tugged at the hem of his shirt, clearly flustered. I nudged his knee with mine. Dude, I don't want to pretend. He blinked, looking at me. Yeah? Yeah. I don't know what this is yet, but I know I don't want to just go back to acting like nothing ever happened. Kyle bit his lip, staring down at his hands. Me either. The way he said it, quiet, almost like he was still testing how it felt out loud, hit me harder than I expected. Look, I said, shifting so I was fully facing him. We don't have to figure out the whole future right now. Let's just be honest. With each other. Take it one step at a time. He nodded, slowly. Yeah, I like that. Then a grin tugged at the corner of his mouth. So, does this mean we're like, dating? I snorted. Wow, 0 to 100. Kyle laughed, shoving my shoulder. Shut up. I mean, if you're asking if I want to keep seeing you like this? I let my fingers brush his knee. Yeah, I do. He stared at me for a beat longer and then something softened in his expression. His hand reached up, fingers hesitating for just a second before cupping the back of my neck, pulling me in again. When we pulled apart, Kyle kept his forehead pressed against mine. God, this is wild. Yeah, but I like it. Me too. His thumb brushed my jaw, and for a minute, neither of us said anything. Just sat there, tangled together on the floor of his barely unpacked apartment, pretending like the rest of the world didn't exist. Eventually, Kyle leaned back, groaning dramatically. Okay, as much as I love this whole emotional breakthrough thing, my back's killing me from this floor, I laughed. Fair. He stood, stretching, shirt riding up just enough to be unfair, then extended a hand to me. Come on, couch. Couch, huh? I smirked, taking his hand. Is that where you take all your dates? Shut up, he grinned, pulling me to my feet. First time for everything. As we settled onto his beat-up couch, legs tangled, his arm draped lazily over my shoulders. Something in my chest settled too. Like, maybe this wasn't as complicated as we thought. Maybe it was just simple. Him and me. Kyle sighed, pressing a kiss to my temple. Yeah, this feels right. It really, really did. We sat on that couch longer than either of us probably intended. Talking, laughing, sometimes just sitting in silence, while Kyle absent-mindedly traced circles on my forearm with his thumb. It felt natural. Strangely natural. Like this wasn't some big, confusing, terrifying thing. Just us. Two guys figuring something out that maybe had been simmering under the surface way longer than either of us wanted to admit. Eventually, Kyle tilted his head back against the couch, letting out a groan. I should unpack. I smirked, glancing around at the literal sea of unopened boxes. Yeah, dude. You should have led with, it's not just a couch and a mattress when you asked me to help. He laughed, nudging me with his knee. Yeah, false advertising. My bad. Want to tackle it now? I asked, half expecting him to say no, but he nodded. Yeah, feels good having you here. Plus, if you help, I'll buy you dinner. Bribery noted. We spent the next hour tearing into boxes, kitchen stuff, books, random crap he probably didn't even remember owning. The whole time, the energy was different, but in the best way. The tension wasn't awkward anymore. It was playful, comfortable. At one point, I was digging through a box labeled bedroom when Kyle appeared beside me, holding a tangled mess of extension cords. Question. Shoot. Do you, his voice dipped slightly. Do you want to stay, like, tonight? My hands paused mid-wrap of a picture frame. I looked up. You mean, like, crash here? Yeah, I mean, it's stupid. You've got your own place. But, I don't know. He rubbed the back of his neck, eyes flicking down. It feels dumb thinking about going to sleep after all this and not having you here. My chest squeezed. Hard. Kyle, I stood, brushing my hands off on my jeans. It's not dumb, he glanced up. Yeah? Yeah. I stepped in closer. I was hoping you'd ask. The grin that spread across his face was all kinds of bashful and stupidly adorable. Cool. You're the most awkward, confident dude I've ever met, I laughed. Yeah, well, turns out confidence takes a hit when you realize the guy you've been half in love with for God knows how long actually likes you back. I blinked. Wait, what? Kyle froze. Shit, did you just say? He groaned, scrubbing a hand down his face. Yeah. Yep, that just came out. I stared at him for a second, heartbeat somewhere near my throat, then reached out, grabbing his hoodie strings and tugging him closer. Good. His brows shot up. Yeah? Yeah. I smiled, pressing a quick kiss to the corner of his mouth. Because same. His breath caught, his hands finding my waist, gripping like he wasn't sure whether to kiss me again or just hold on for dear life. Holy shit, I did not see this day coming. Me either. I rested my forehead against his, but I'm really glad it did. There was a beat. Then Kyle chuckled, pulling me in fully, arms around my back. Screw the boxes. Yeah, I just want to be here, with you, right now. His voice was quieter now, softer, and somehow, that hit me harder than anything else had. We stood like that, just holding each other, longer than either of us would ever admit. Because sometimes, the best part isn't the kiss, or the tension, or the realization. It's just knowing. You finally found the person who makes it all feel like home. It was kind of wild how quickly everything shifted. I mean, yeah, technically nothing massive had changed. We were still just two guys sitting in a half-unpacked apartment surrounded by empty pizza boxes and IKEA nightmares. But everything felt different. The way Kyle kept stealing glances at me when he thought I wasn't looking. The way his hand would graze mine as we moved around the apartment. And this time, neither of us pulled back. The way his laugh sounded now, like there was this tiny undercurrent of relief behind it. At one point, I was attempting to assemble a coffee table, read, failing, while Kyle sat cross-legged on the floor, holding up a rogue screw. "This thing's a disaster," he grinned, tossing it in the air and catching it. "Yeah, well, so was agreeing to help you move," I shot back, smirking. He laughed, but then his expression softened. "Nah, that was the best decision I've made in probably ever." My hands stilled. I looked up. "Yeah?" "Yeah." His thumb ran over the edge of the screw absent-mindedly. "It's weird how something's been right in front of you forever, but you don't realize it until it just hits you." I set the screwdriver down, leaning back on my hands. "You mean me?" Kyle's lips twitched into a smile. "Yeah, you." The air between us shifted again, less playful, more real. He set the screw aside, crawling over on his knees until he was right in front of me. "I've been thinking about it all day," he said, voice low. "And honestly, longer than that. I just didn't let myself see it until now." My pulse hammered. "See what?" His fingers brushed mine, then slid up my arm. Slow, deliberate. "That I like you. Like, not just like you, but really, actually, like you." I blinked, stunned stupid for a second. "Kyle." His eyes searched mine, nervous but determined. "I know I'm probably the most confusing person in your life right now, but I don't want to mess this up." "You're not messing anything up," I said, squeezing his hand. "Not even close." His breath hitched. "Yeah? Yeah." Then, without warning, he leaned in again, this time slower, softer than before. His lips met mine in this ridiculously sweet way, like he wasn't trying to prove anything or figure anything out, just being there. And damn if that wasn't the best kiss yet. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against mine, and he let out a shaky breath. "God, this feels right," I finished for him. "Yeah, right. Stay tonight," he said, quieter now. "Like, really stay?" I nodded. Yeah, I want that." A grin tugged at his lips, but there was something else behind it too. Something more serious. "You know, you could have told me you had a crush on me, like, months ago," I snorted. "Oh, sure. Hey, Kyle, cool spreadsheet in the meeting today. Also, by the way, I fantasize about making out with you on your couch." He barked out a laugh. "Honestly, would have saved us both a lot of time." Yeah, I rolled my eyes. "As if you would have known what to do with that." "Fair," he admitted, grinning. We sat there for a moment longer, him kneeling in front of me tangled up in him, before he stood, offering his hand. "Come on." "To bedroom," he said, pulling me up. "Not for anything crazy. I just want to be close to you. Fall asleep next to you." My chest squeezed again in that way that told me, yeah, I was really falling for this guy. I let him lead me down the hall to his room. It was barely set up. Mattress on the floor, a couple pillows, a heap of blankets in the corner. But the second he flopped onto the bed and pulled me down with him, none of that mattered. "Night," he murmured, pressing a kiss to my temple. "Night," I whispered back. And as my eyes fluttered shut, tangled up with Kyle in his half-empty room, one thought hit me harder than anything else. I think this is the beginning of something really good. I woke up before him. It was that kind of early morning where the sunlight leaks through the blinds, just enough to make the room glow, but not enough to fully wake you. Kyle was still out cold, one arm slung lazily over my waist, his chest rising and falling in this steady rhythm that was honestly kind of mesmerizing. I turned my head just a little, careful not to wake him, and just looked at him. It's weird seeing someone like that, completely relaxed, no jokes, no teasing, no awkward fumbling over what this meant. Just him. Peaceful. Real. I didn't even realize I was smiling until he stirred, his arm tightening a bit around me, his nose nudging the back of my neck like he was trying to burrow deeper. A groggy mumble escaped his lips. You still here?" "Yeah," I whispered, biting back a grin. "Didn't run off." "Good." His voice was raspy, thick with sleep. "Would have had to hunt you down." I chuckled softly, shifting just enough to roll onto my back. Kyle blinked his eyes open, barely, his hair sticking up in about 17 different directions. He propped himself up on one elbow, squinting down at me. Hey. A slow, sleepy smile tugged at his lips. "So, last night, wasn't a dream?" "Nope," he sighed. This happy, content sigh, and collapsed half on top of me, his face pressing into my shoulder. "Cool, just checking." I ran my fingers through his messy hair, letting them tangle at the back of his neck. "So, does this mean I officially get boyfriend privileges? Or do I still have to pass some kind of test?" Kyle let out a snort, his lips brushing against my collarbone. "Boyfriend, huh? Unless you don't want that." He pulled back just enough to meet my eyes, expression suddenly serious, more serious than I think I'd ever seen on him. "No, I do. I really do." I felt my chest tighten in the best way possible. Yeah. His thumb brushed absently over the side of my face. "It's kinda terrifying how much I do." There was a pause, heavy but not uncomfortable. "Same," I finally said, voice softer than I meant. Same." Kyle grinned again, then leaned in, pressing a lazy, lingering kiss to my lips. "Cool. Guess that makes it official." "Guess so." We laid there for a while, just tangled together, letting the morning sink in. Eventually, though, reality started creeping back. Kyle groaned, rolling onto his back. "Ugh, I should probably, do something adult today. Like finish unpacking?" "Exactly, but also, kinda just wanna lay here all day with you." I smirked, rolling over to prop myself up on one elbow. "Well, we could do both." He glanced at me. "Yeah?" "Yeah, I help you unpack, and then you reward me with pancakes." "Sound fair?" Kyle laughed, reaching over to pull me against him. "Deal, but you're flipping them. I suck at pancakes." Noted. There was something ridiculously easy about it, about us. Like we'd skip the weird in-between stages and just landed here. Together, figuring it out as we went. As we finally dragged ourselves out of bed, made coffee, and started piecing his apartment together, I couldn't stop catching him looking at me. This dumb little smile tugging at his lips every time our eyes met, and every time I felt it too. That rush, that stupid, giddy, holy crap, this is real feeling. Later, when we were sitting on the floor surrounded by half-built furniture, greasy plates of pancakes balanced on our laps, Kyle nudged me with his knee. "Hey." "Yeah?" He smiled. "I like you here." My heart did this ridiculous flip. "I like being here." "Good." He reached over, threading his fingers through mine. "'Cause I kinda don't want you to leave." I squeezed his hand. "Yeah, me either." And in that moment, messy apartment, burnt pancakes, bad furniture assembly, I realized something that hit me harder than anything else. This wasn't just something. This was home. By the time the sun started dipping below the skyline, the apartment actually started looking, well, like an actual home. The couch was finally assembled, with only minor arguments. Shelves were mostly upright, and we even managed to hang a couple of posters without completely destroying the drywall. Kyle flopped onto the couch, wiping his hands on his jeans. "Dude, I cannot believe we survived that. I dropped next to him, letting my head fall onto his shoulder. It was close. You almost threw that Allen wrench at me. Yeah, well, you deserved it. You kept reading the instructions backwards. Nah, you just don't know how to follow diagrams. His arms slid around my shoulders, fingers idly tracing the seam of my sleeve. God, you're annoying. Yeah, I tilted my head, grinning up at him. And you're stuck with me now. Kyle looked down at me, and the playful smile on his face softened. Yeah, I am. His fingers brushed under my chin, guiding my face up to meet his. The kiss was slower this time, not desperate, not hurried, just full of that quiet certainty that this, whatever this was real. When we broke apart, his thumb lingered against my jaw. You know, when I asked you to help me move, I wasn't expecting to accidentally fall for you. Yeah? I smiled. Pretty sure I fell for you somewhere between the third box and the couch disaster. Kyle laughed, pulling me tighter against his side. Guess this worked out better than either of us expected. There was a beat, a comfortable silence as we sat there, listening to the hum of the city outside his window, the distant sound of cars, neighbors laughing somewhere down the hall. Then he spoke again, quieter this time. Hey, you ever think about, what happens next? I tilted my head. Next? Like tomorrow? Or like this? Us? His fingers tightened just a bit where they rested against my shoulder. I don't want to rush anything, but I also don't really want to do that thing where we pretend this is just casual. My chest squeezed. Yeah, me either, he exhaled, visibly relieved. Good, 'cause I think I want to try. For real, like the actual relationship thing. I grinned, nudging his leg with mine. Kyle, I've wanted that since the moment you asked me to pass you that stupid wrench this morning. He laughed, pressing a quick kiss to my hair. Deal. We sat there a little longer, legs tangled, arms wrapped around each other, talking about everything and nothing. Work, life. Whether the coffee shop down the block was actually as good as it looked. Little, stupid things that somehow felt huge because they were ours now. Shared. When it got late and we finally realized how exhausted we were, Kyle tugged me to my feet. Come on. Bed. Thought you'd never ask. We curled up under the mismatched sheets. Him spooned behind me, his arm tied around my waist like he was scared I'd vanish if he let go. Night, he mumbled into the back of my neck. Night, I whispered. And as I drifted off, his fingers warm against my skin, his breath steady and soft, I realized something I'd never quite expected. This wasn't just some accidental thing, some random weekend that spiraled into chaos. This was the start of something real, something solid, something ours. And I wouldn't trade it for anything.